Welcome back friends. So I hope you learned about some basic from the JavaScript day 0 video, and it's time for us to go with the day 1 where I'm going to teach you about what is ES6 and what are different history about your JavaScript language, and that is going to help me a lot to understand the ES6, why the word came into the picture, and what is ECMAScript 2015, right? Let's move for that. So you can see friend that I have the Google Chrome open with something about my JavaScript history, right? And I hope it makes sense to all of you how exactly the history looks like. You can see the JavaScript is not to be confused with the thing Java is a programming language, and that is JavaScript different, right? And there are a lot of stuff that you can read from about the JavaScript. You can see the JavaScript often abbreviated as JS is a programming language. Now that is one of the core technologies of the World Wide Web, right? WWW. So alongside HTML and CSS, so it is going to be a good thing to learn because everything right nowadays you see everything on the internet only, right? So if you want to go to some meeting, that is again online meeting, right? So this is all about JavaScript that I can do with my JavaScript. And friends, if I talk about history, you can see it was created in the Netscape, so you can just read about it, how exactly the thing happened there, and that is literally too interesting story to read. I don't want to waste my time and you waste your time just to read this thing. You can go and from the internet just go to this link, all right? You will get it very clearly, and you can learn about it, how exactly JavaScript was developed by Netscape. That is also by adoption by Microsoft. You can read about it, the rise of JS script, right? And the growth and standardization, and there my reaching the maturity that looks, yeah, that's actually an interesting story friends. You can just go and read about it. Interesting one, literally. And the trademark and the things and this jQuery and the React and the Angular and this all stuff, right? Now if I talk about the JavaScript, right, I need to understand how exactly the EcmaScript came into the picture, the ES word came into the picture, right? So if I read about this whole thing, right, it makes sense to me, but is it really for me to understand how exactly the EcmaScript into the picture? Yes, I have to understand that particular thing. So friend, for that particular thing I will go to ES6 wiki, right? So I will simply search for ES6, and that's what I want to learn now. So exactly the ES6 and the ECMAScript work into the picture, right? That ES stand for ECMAScript here. So when we talk about ECMAScript, that is going to help me a lot in coming up this 2015 version and what exactly this thing does, right? So let's try to understand this thing. So EcmaScript is specialization in the standardized specification for scripting language developed by the Brandon each at Netscape. I hope you learned about the Netscape right now. Initially named Mocha and then LiveScript and finally JavaScript. So JavaScript was never a JavaScript. It was first Mocha, then LiveScript, and then JavaScript, right? So understand this thing, friends. This is not an easy word, right, for it to just say JavaScript. No, it is just three different name changed, right? That's what I have learned from the Wikipedia. If you think so that something else is there, just let me know. I will also try to understand that too. So coming up here, friends. So what exactly the ECMAScript did here, right? Did here. So you saying that there's something written in the last link that I've shared with you. So right. So in December 1995, Sun Microsystem, right, and Netscape announced JavaScript in a press release. In November 1996, Netscape announced a meeting of ECMA International. That's where the word came into the picture, ECMA International, right? It is a non-profit standard organization, right? Going to help you, right? That's full form for that is European Computer Manufacturers Association. That is ECMA, right? And the standard organization to advance the standardization of the JavaScript, right? And the first edition of ECMA 262 was adopted by ECMA General Assembly, and this all stuff is mentioned here, and they named it as the ECMAScript. The name EcmaScript was a compromise between the organization involved in standardizing the language, especially Netscape and the Microsoft, right? That makes sense, right? The Netscape, the Microsoft, were having something that they have what we call it like compromises. They have to do compromises things because they have their own scripting things, right, in their own browsers. So that's why the EcmaScript came into the picture to make the standardized. Right, and I hope this is going to help you a lot to understand more about the EcmaScript, why the word came into the picture, and this will actually help you, right? So each commented the EcmaScript was always an unwanted trade name that sounds just like skin disease. Yes, that's true. And EcmaScript has been formalized through Operation Semantics by work of Stanford University and the Department of Computing, Imperial College London for security analysis and the standardization. So ECMA stood for European Computer Manufacturing Association until 1994. Now that's fine, right? So that's the reason, friends, it called as ECMAScript, right? But friends, some people call it ECMAScript 2015, and some people call it ES6. Is it different from each other? The answer is very clearly no. They are exactly same, right? So what is ECMAScript 2015 and what is ES6? So why is when talk about ECMAScript 2015, friends, that means that the version that came into 2015, right? And in that version that actually came into 2015 is ES6, that is sixth version of ECMAScript, right? That's why we call it ES6 as well, right? So don't get confused about this word ECMAScript 2015 or ES6. They both are exactly same, right? That's what I have learned about. So ECMAScript JavaScript supports field structure language, right? Previously JavaScript only support functional scoping using the where keyword. That's what I talked about, right? The where keyword. But now ECMAScript 2015, that's what I'm showing, ES6, right? Add the keyword let and the const. That's why I have to learn about the let and the const by ECMAScript only, right? They also allowing JavaScript to support both block scoping and function scoping. Now I really don't know this word, right? So we have to understand this word very carefully. What is block scoping and what is function scoping? Because this is very interesting topic that we should know before deep diving into the JavaScript, right? That's what, friends. I will not go further more in this whole thing because there are a lot of things that I nearly no need to cover right now, because that is going to cover in the later stage. So don't waste my time. Don't waste your time to just learn this whole stuff, right? Let's move to our VS Code and start understanding what exactly the next thing I have to work on the stuff, right? So let's go to our VS Code. So VS Code says, all right. So I learned about something. There's two more keywords, let and the const, to make my variable declaration. And friends, that's what I'm going to cover in the day zero video only, because that is the part of basics, right? And let's see what exactly going to be there. So friends, I do something. I'll go with the let.js file. So with the let.js file will help me just declaration of the variables, right? And let's see how exactly this is different from the var keyword. After I learn about const, we'll see the difference. So friends, when we talk about let keyword, it's just let keyword and give a variable name. I say it's equals a and some value like that. All right, I can also declare a variable b, so I will write let b equals to some value like that. It doesn't matter. It is just exactly same. Nothing big change here as of now, right? So friend, I'm saying as of now, it means something will come up later. Right now it is exactly same. So I can get a variable a declaration, I can get variable b declaration by using let keyword, nothing else, right? Coming to the const keyword, friends, when we talk about const, I don't need to do a lot about it. I just write const.js file, and variable declaration is just like const. I will give a variable name a equals to some value like that, and the const b equals somewhere like this thing, right? I know the variable are just exactly looking same and nothing else, right? Only the difference as of now that I can see from my eyes is that the const says to me that it is a constant, and that is correct, right? You cannot change the variable value after you give the value. That's simple and very clear to me by using the const keyword into my JavaScript. So friends, when we talk about const keyword, it's very simple, very clear. That value will be constant forever. After you declare the variable value, you cannot change it. For example, if I try to write b equals to some sort of like this kind of number, that never going to happen, right? So this will give me an error about the variable. It is going to give me a type error. We can see very clearly the type error will be there. That is assignment to constant variable. It can't be done. Simple and very clear, right? So remember this thing, friends. Until unless you don't have a clarity about the const keyword, you will do this kind of mistakes, right? That's what I want to teach you first, right? The const keyword means variable is constant, correct? All right, cool. I understood this thing. Now, what is the difference between let and where then? What is the difference between let and where? Yeah, you're correct, right? You should ask this question for sure. So that's what the interview will ask you for sure, that what is the let, where, right? What they are different, what exactly the things are. And friends, we learned about some keyword today. The keyword says to me that they are block scope and there's something known as the function scoping. What is this function scoping? What is this block scoping, right? I really don't know. So let's try to understand that one. So I will create this file, friend. I will talk it as readme.md file. That is going to help me a lot in this thing. Okay. So I will just paste this file, not in the day zero. That's correct, right? So this thing should come under the this particular thing, and this should also come to day zero. So I will make sure, friends, that everything that I'm creating here should be under the day zero. So I will move these files under day zero, and this let also correct. All right, so understanding the thing, friends. So I learned about that, Kuldeep. There is something that I learned about today. That is the one is block scope and one is your functional scope. Well, the words looks easy to understand by theoretical part. One under the block is a block scope. One under the function that is a function scope. Right? That makes sense. Correct, right? I hope so. It makes sense to me as well. So I will go to my readme.md file and just append this line under it so that I can understand the topic today, right? So I will close this file. So friends, what exactly the day one will say me now because I learned about this thing today. So day one says that you're going to have a block scope. What exactly the block scope, right? And how exactly that it is different from the function scope. All right, doesn't matter. Let's try to understand this thing. So friends, I will just simply say that I will talk about where versus let. Node.js, right? I just need to see that they are different from each other. Let's try to see what is the where versus let. Okay, nothing difficult for me to understand. I create a where keyword here, right? I make it a variable a equals to something, a value equals to 10, right? As of now, it's just variable a equals to 10. I can declare variable let with something, a variable b equals to 20, right? And that makes sense again, doesn't matter, right? What the values are. So both are under the same scope, right? I talk about any other programming language. It means to me if I declare variable somewhere, the variable values stay there only, right? That makes sense to me. I hope so. Now, friends, just doing this thing will help me out to understand just basic fundamental that is variable declaration. But I need to understand something more. I take it out like that. I simply say, all right, somewhere I have a condition if, right? A simple if condition where actually I'm expecting something true or false value. So I say, okay, it is true. And friends, I learn about this thing. I paste the variables here. Now, what do you think? Take a just 5 second pause. And what do you think, friends? What exactly the variable a going to print, right? Is it going to print 10? Is it true, right? Is it actually true? Right? And what the variable b will be printed, right? What the variable b will be printing? Is it going to print something 20? Is it true? Think about it. Is it true? Is it going to print these two things or not? What do you think? Well, if you have a clarity about it, friends, you will understand a lot about it if you don't have clarity. So, friends, simple and very clearly variable declaration. We know if I have Java, if I have a C in my mind, if I have C plus in my mind, I simply say both the answer won't work. Both the variables are not declared, right? You can see the variables are declared inside the if condition. And friends, if I look into the if condition, there is a block, right? So if we have a block of if condition starting from that curly bracket 1 to curly bracket 4, we can see variable is declared there, right? But JavaScript says, I have something weird to you, right? So I will give something more to you. So when we talk about variable declaration, friends, this is not an issue for variable A. It will print 10 for sure, right? When we're trying to print the variable b, friends, I am actually going to get an error for this particular line. Why? The reason is very clearly mentioned, because the variable b is not declared inside that function, right? Or we can say inside that block. Now what is exactly the b variable does, right? The b variable says, all right, I'm not that smart just like the variable where, because I'm limited, I know where I stand, right? The variable that declared with the let keyword knows their boundary. So B knows the boundary. So it says that my boundary is actually inside the if condition only. If someone's try to access me outside the if condition, I'm so sorry, I can't go out. So I have no scope outside my boundary. But variable say that actually I'm just somewhere. If you declare me anywhere, it doesn't matter where I am. I will simply go outside and can be reached by anyone. It's just like a public access, right? But only one thing is required, guys. The variable should be declared somewhere with some value until unless the variable is not there, I can't access the variable a as well, right? So make sure, friends, you understand this thing very clearly. The let keyword is declared under the if condition. That is a block of if condition. It can't access or it cannot be accessed outside the if condition. That's what it says to me as of now. All right. So what exactly I can do, I just simply go here and now, friends, you will say that Kuldeep, we are learning this thing where to execute the code, right? That's correct, right? We can execute the code somewhere else as well. So friends, for me, I simply download the Node.js. I'll let you know how to download the Node.js. Go to the browser, right? Go to the browser, friends, and simply search for Node.js and Node.js and download. And friends, just download the latest version. No, never. Friends, always download the LTS. That's what I recommend from my side, because LTS is actually going to help you a lot, because there might be something in the current version that are not compatible, right, with your things. So I always prefer just download the LTS, that is long term support, that what I'm expecting, right? Please download the LTS only. Don't download anything else. If you're Windows, download this. macOS, download this. Source code for other things that you can download this, right? So that's what you have to download and do next, 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 and install the things, right? That's all, friends. I need to install the Node.js. After you install the Node.js, friends, you can come back to your VS Code and just do this thing, right? Coming to the VS Code, go to the terminal. If you know some commands about it, that shortcuts, I know the shortcuts, friends, so that's why I'm using this thing. So if you have shortcuts, that's good for you. So what I am doing here, I simply have this thing. I try to execute my code, and that's going to help me a lot to understand basic fundamental, how exactly the variable a and the b going to get the values about it, right? So I will open up my terminal here, friends. So I simply write here with the simple keyword node, and I will simply write my, just a minute, friends, just a minute, give me a minute. Sometimes my terminal is just quite fast, so take some time. All right, so it looks like this thing. Now what I have to do, friends, I have to just simply write node, and my file is in the day one, so I write day hyphen one, and I simply execute my var versus let.js file, and let's see what happens. Friends, I got the value 10. You can see very clearly that I got the value 10, but after the value 10, I'm getting some error. And what exactly that is, friends, you can see I'm going to get a reference error b is not defined, right? And that makes sense to me. The variable b that is declared inside the if condition can't be accessed out of the if condition. That's it is a block scope, right? What if I just make it var? Now, friends, as I've told you, right, var says it doesn't matter where you're declaring, just declare it, right? Now, variable is declared instead of b in the condition of if, it doesn't matter, just execute, it will work fine. That's what, right, I can see. Now, I have to show you one thing, friends, how exactly the JavaScript code is going to execute, right? And this is going to help you a lot about it, right? And understand this thing, friends, this is really helpful when you have to execute the code and find the output, right? So as of now, I hope it makes sense. Okay, so I will teach you things in the later video how exactly the things are working. And now currently, friends, if I talk about the var keyword a and b, you can see both are getting the value. What I told you, friends, if I declare variable with the name c and there's no variable b, right? If there's no variable b, friend, that's very very simple, right? It's very clear that variable b is not there. How come I can access that variable? And that's very simplest error, that is reference error again, right? That's what I'm showing you up, guys, and that's just a reference error. It means if the variable is not declared, it's not going to be referenced, right? So if it is not okay, it's just a reference error. If it declared and it is using the let keyword, depending upon the block where it is declared, I can access the variable. Outside the block, friends, I can't access. That's the block scope, simple, right? That's same for my const keyword. If I write const keyword here, friends, right, a const b variable, that is again the same, right? If you declare const variable b, the variable cannot be accessed outside the block. You still see the same error, right? That the variable b is not defined. I hope so. Let and const are exactly in the same scope. So they are blocks of variables. When you declare let and const variables, they are block scoped. But when you declare var keyword, that is a function scope. We'll talk about more about it, right? For currently, as of now, just understand this basic fundamental, right? What is var versus let and const, right? So if you understand this thing, friends, I hope so. It's going to help a lot to get your answers on some output-based question where the var and const and the let keywords are written, right? I hope so, friends. It makes sense. That's all from my side for the day one video with var, right? So please make sure that you support me with my videos to share with other friends who are actually looking forward to learn the JavaScript, right? And they are looking for the interview preparation. Please do share my video. Thank you, friends.